As we wrap up day 2 of the longboarding party with a boathouse full of volunteers, the hull is fair, sanded, and ready for paint. And later, Anne takes the camera to Doyle Sails in Salem, Mass. to see Arabella's sails getting cut and sewn.
What I've been working on is the Companionway hatch and continuing to kind of tune the, what's this called in here? The board.
The guillotine?
Yep, the guillotine. And that's going to basically meet the Companionway hatch. And what's changed in the last couple of days is I took this back to my shop and ran a dado down here to insert this handle. We're going to work out what is the mechanism that's going to be used to pull it open and closed. We've kind of gone back and forth, but because one goal is to be able to have it open as far as possible, and there's this dam here, that means there can't be any handle coming down below. So we talked about maybe putting a little cup handle in there, or just using a rope monkey's paw in there, a knot, to be able to pull it closed. And then work through that, whatever works best. And then of course this is the acrylic guillotine. So that's what I'm working on.
Hi, Kyle.
We have the longboarding party going on right now, so you may hear some noises. But what we're doing inside the boat right now is getting ready to install some of the Watermaker components. We're having a slightly more relaxed standard as to like covering things up in here, so that makes it possible to cram a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, look at that diesel filter.
You know how like when you go by a refinery and there's just like pipes everywhere? That's kind of what the head's gonna look like. This is the core of the Watermaker right here. It's a high pressure booster pump in a membrane. That booster pump pushes seawater into the membrane. A little bit of fresh water comes out the other side, and a lot of what we call brine, or slightly increased salinity seawater, gets dumped overboard. All of this stuff, though, is what supports the Watermaker, and that's the stuff we're getting ready to install today. So we have a low pressure pump. This boosts the water up to about 100 psi to feed the high pressure pump. We have a 5 micron filter. We have a gas charged bladder accumulator to even out the pressure spikes in the low pressure pump. And we have some valves and gauges and flow meters for the output side of the system, so that you can direct your fresh water into the correct tank. All of this stuff needs to get mounted inside here in the head. And the way we're doing that is we're taking components like this, we're screwing them into wood blocks, and then we're mounting them on various spots on this wall. And you can see the parts we've sanded away in preparation for bonding these wood panels to the wall. The reason we chose to bond these instead of through bolting is that there's quite a bit of stuff on either side of these bulkheads. In particular, in the nav area, we have a lot of electrical things going on, and it would have been very difficult to get through bolts through without hitting anything expensive and important. So, we're gluing. One thing you might notice about all of these parts is that the top is slightly angled, and that's to drain water off of them. So everything in the bathroom is going to get wet at some point.
Dun dun. Dun dun dun.
Are you gonna longboard?
Yep.
It begins.
Are we doing our
Reinforcements have arrived.
I need this filled in a little more completely.
Outside, RJ, ship manager for the schooner Amistad, came back to the shop to work on the rudder.
How's this coming?
Well, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
We've got copper. It's on the very end of the stern right now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be there to help reduce marine growth when the boat's finally in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using, well, there will be a blade of paint, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
on the bottom. And
Watch your head.
there you go. This will take the place of the blade of paint, basically. So,
Yeah.
So now I'm going to put some small holes into here and start setting up to have we're going to take rods that will peen over. All right. All right, well, that's success so far.
Put anything in the hole before you put the rod through it?
You can. It's really never a bad idea. Water is, particularly if this is ever in fresh water, but since I think most of the time he's going to be sailing in salt water, right?
Yeah.
Then that's okay. So that'll end up pickling so what we do on the Amistad, for example, is we wash the deck down with salt water all the time, and it's essentially pickling the wood. So the salt gets in between the lignum of basically the grain or the fibers of the wood, and that helps slow down at least decay, if not prevent it. I'm switching not necessarily because it's a better hammer, but because my hand is really tired, so I'm using a lighter hammer. Yeah.
Grandpa calls this the happy woodpecker.
Yeah.
He says, I know you were working. I could hear the happy woodpecker. Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Riveting, caulking,
Yep.
all the same. Tap, tap,
Yep.
tap, tap, tap.
Yep. After cutting all the copper too,
Yeah.
my right hand's a little.
Feeling it.
We're to the point now where we have all of the top sides, which is, the top 6-7 strakes, and all of that is to about 120 grit, and we know for sure that it's all been hit with 120. We had team 120, and then all of the bottom, which is the bottom 10 strakes, has all been hit with 80, which, as I've said before, is exactly where bottom paint grips best, as far as that's concerned. Like 80 is not a rough surface, actually, is it? You know, it's fine, but it does give it something to grip. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This was a creative way to try to get what's really a difficult task, torture boards. I mean, it's something that I actually have avoided saying because what's really nice about this weekend is that everybody got to do this together, work 15, 20 minutes, take a little break, pass their tool off, and then other people stepped in, and it ended up making light work. Still hard work, but shorter and efficient, and we appreciate everybody's help.
The next day, in a much less crowded and dusty boat shop, Keith Mitchell, aka Shipwright Skills on Instagram, also came back to finish up some jobs on the spars. First up was gluing on a shim to the mizzen that will take out the taper at the top of the mast to support the track that Robbie Doyle included on the sail designs.
Smushy smush. Wiggly jiggly.
So tenacious, we probably just walk around.
Yeah.
Yo, we gotta run this.
Yeah, we still might want to throw a couple clamps on, but these will at least keep it from sliding. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably. A whole bunch of glue on, scrape half of it off, repeat the cycle.
Hold on. Oh. You got everybody? Everybody on? Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Now it's
The last step for the hull before breaking out the paintbrushes was to find a quiet, dark moment and shine a laser level to mark the waterline.
okay. Okay. So we gotta go to here. Up just a little bit. Good enough. Good enough for what we need it for now.
You're gonna have to reposition here.
That's okay. All right, Kyle, our fluids expert. What is 10% of 1 gallon?
10% of 1 gallon.
I need to thin this 10%.
It would
$1
be.
gallon. So.
What is that? Sure, 250 milliliters.
13 ounces?
Worth that.
13 ounces? I don't know. What is it, 128 ounces a gallon?
Checks out.
So.
Now, normally I do it where I drill a hole and I just cut with a grinder and slip it, just kind of keep it stepping down, but it's
Put the
whatever.
Forever?
Yeah. No, forever and ever and ever. So it's very well mixed.
Yeah.
Satchel, he says we should be getting the underside.
Okay.
This is ablative.
Hi, Natalie. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
So good.
So I'm going to leave you guys. All right.
Sweet.
Okay. We're going to cut your mainsail today.
Sweet.
I've already got the other three, and they're already in the works. I guess hopefully you'll be able to see those getting put together after this. But for right now, we're going to work on your mainsail. So how it works from my end is I get sent a design, a cut file from our designer. In this case, it is Robbie Doyle. Sent me a file that looks pretty blank, like this. So see, this is like a picture of the mainsail. So obviously all the main pieces, and then the patches and the radial patches. And then it's my job to take all these pieces and fit them onto a little picture down here, which is like a picture of my table, which is behind me. Mm-hmm. It's about a 60-foot table. And so I sort of drag the pieces down and get them settled in to how they will be most efficiently settled on the table. I can add tables, I can fool around with get all the radials here, orient them to the cloth the way that they need to be, fit them in. It's like a...
Right, because you have to consider that too, like the way that the cloth has to be. You can't just fit it in any old way. It has to be
exactly
according to the,
it needs
the
to be
weave of the cloth.
Exactly. So this is a fill-oriented cloth, so everything needs to be nested vertically, if possible, all these little radials. So that's what I do. I take all the pieces and I put them in my little puzzle and I fit them all in to make them as efficient as possible. And then I end up with the final, not that one, that's the one I just had open. I end up with the final nest, which in this case, it's 2 tables worth of panels. So we'll do 2 tables today, one that looks like this and one that looks like this.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess let's just go ahead and get it done.
Yeah.
All right. So this is your 8.47 fully recycled polyester Acorn from Challenge. it back and forth to make sure it's exactly as straight as it should be. Perfectly flat. It's going to start to move, so be careful. So first it's going to draw all the seam lines and the panel numbers and any little markings that they need on the sail. And then after it draws the whole table, it's going to come back and it's going to cut the whole table. Altogether, this process for me, it only takes an hour to an hour and a half, depending on, you know, hiccups or frustrations or weird angles or having to send panels back and things like that. But generally, no, it's a pretty quick process for me. I don't know how long it takes the, you know, Robbie to design the sail. I'm sure a lot longer than that. So my little bit is pretty easy. Arabella, Maine. And go bring them over to Timmy.
Natalie brought the patches and panels for the mainsail over to Tim, where he was just getting ready to start sewing the Mizzen pieces together.
Okay, ready to sew it. From that tip.
Over here we have sails that are more close to completion. And what that means is they have their slides for their sail track. They have bolt ropes. They've got the, this will go inside of a furler. So this is to go inside of a foil. Got pockets for battens, and all of the accoutrement to keep them in there. Telltales. Attachments for, I think these are probably for leech lines. Is that right? Rings for clue, tack, and head. And in Arabella's case, also for her throat. And so that's a lot. Here's the plan. The sail plan. Not all the details on there. These hexagonal patches that are everywhere are quite thick, and it feels like they have maybe an adhesive, it's an adhesive backing on Dacron. And this is for places that rub or that need a little bit of extra because there's going to be something attached there or whatnot. Adds a lot of strength. Must be a nice day, right? Yeah.